Marisha.
So, a little bit of context. We used to do this when we had our Thoughtful Thursday programs at the temple, and what we would do is we would pick a verse, we'd give our little 3-minute talk, and then we would, pass it on to the next person. But for this Sunday program, we're going to do a summary of the previous class. So, last Sunday, we were talking about inevitable events and how to approach them. And does anybody quickly remember the verse? 227, yes. Do you think we can pull up the verse quickly? Yeah. But the translation said, "One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament." So, Gopivov basically gave 3 teachings from this verse: the cycle of birth and death, the acceptance of duty, and being detached from our outcomes. So we kind of reframe the word death as graduation, because when we are graduating, it's a scary thing, right? Because most of us after graduation, we go into the workforce, and that's like a whole new thing, but we're transforming this fear that we have into a new opportunity, We're anticipating something new, We're going into the future with like the hope that something good will come. So death can be thought of in that same way. Like, it is scary, but we can think of it as an opportunity to go and do new things, hopefully go back to Godhead, but we'll see, Another thing, so from that, the first one was cycle of birth and death. So one who has to take birth is taking birth according to the previous activities of one's life. And we're going through this cycle of birth and death without liberation, right? We just keep going, running that race every time. So we have to try to get out of that cycle of birth and death. And it's like a guarantee. One who has taken birth is sure to die. It's once you're born, that's the only guarantee in life, is you're going to die. And we need to remember that and try to get out of that. We need to kind of change our mentality on, okay, we got this death, and that's our goal. What are we going to do with that goal? Remember Krishna. Another one was talking about the acceptance of duty, because essentially Arjuna was talking about, he didn't want to do his duty, and his duty as a kshatriya is to fight. But on the other side of the battlefield was his relatives. And that kind of goes into the third point, where he was attached to those relatives. He had that attachment. And big warrior became small ant, was one of the sayings. And so he took what we called a miscalculated risk. He's like, okay, I'm going to take this risk, not do my duty, go into the forest or whatever. And he asked Krishna, he was asking for his opinion. Krishna, please instruct me, tell me what I should do. And Krishna, eventually through the Bhagavad Gita, told him what to do. And after Krishna finished talking to him, he didn't ask Krishna, okay, Krishna, thank you. Now, what do you think? He didn't ask anybody for a second opinion. So we can see that there was like a difference of perspective. So Arjuna thought that the battle of Kurukshetra was unnecessary killing. And Krishna, he was emphasizing, but this is your duty. Your duty as a warrior is to fight. It was interesting to see how Arjuna's mentality was when Krishna was talking to him. So Arjuna was very open-minded, and we quoted Nectar of Instruction Text 4, which describes the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee to another. So one of those was there's like accepting prasadam, giving prasadam, those sort of things. But one of them was like inquiring confidentially, and then like another one was listening. So Arjuna didn't just complain, oh Krishna, here's my problems. And once Krishna was talking to him, he also listened, and Krishna guided Arjuna to that right understanding, and Arjuna understood what Krishna was saying. So, kind of going back a bit to duty, since Arjuna would be discharging his duty, why should Arjuna be aggrieved from the death of his relatives? If he didn't do his duty, he wouldn't stop the death of his relatives. You know, he wouldn't. They're going to die regardless, right? Because that's the guarantee. One who has taken birth is sure to die again, and after death, one is sure to take birth again. So he's not stopping the inevitable, right? And he would be degrading himself due to his selection of the wrong path of action. So he was thinking, oh, I'm going to avoid my duty and I'm going to stop the death of my relatives. But no, they're going to die eventually. And Krishna says in the translation, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty. And then we quoted a pastime from Gopal Krishna Goswami, I think. So he was talking to Srila Prabhupada about book distribution, and Srila Prabhupada made a very nice quote. My books are sold because of the enthusiasm of my disciples, and that point really stuck with me. And we talked about Parikshit Maharaj because he's an example of the unavoidable event, right? Parikshit Maharaj, so Srimad Bhagavatam is talking about Parikshit Maharaj in his conversations with Srukadeva Goswami, because Parikshit Maharaj was given 7 days left to live, and it was unavoidable. He couldn't stop that. So what he did with that unavoidable event is very important. He took action. We wrote down many words. Navya, do you have some of those words we talked about from last week? Can you name just a couple maybe?
Some of the words were attentive, graceful, focused, association, no fear of death, and no procrastinating.
So we talked about like his attitude to these unavoidable events. And another one was Gajendra, who we also talked about today. Gajendra had the unavoidable event. And then we kind of did like a little chart where we said, these are avoidable but important. These are not important and avoidable. These are unavoidable and important, and unavoidable and not important. And we could see from the discussion that there's many different perspectives. Some people thought, oh yeah, our classes are important but avoidable. And some people thought, oh, that's not, that's important, but you shouldn't avoid it. So we could see that there was different perspectives. So we also must be careful to, people will have different perspectives, and we need to respect that. We shouldn't just say, oh, this is my way. But essentially, it was talking about, again, inevitable events and how to approach them. And I wrote a couple more, but I figured in the interest of time, I covered the main points. Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna. Now I gotta pick the opportunity for somebody to do it next week. Is anybody really enthusiastic? Gopi Bob? Do you do it next week? And then, if you forget, again, the classes are live recorded, so you can go back and listen. It's also good to go back and listen, because then we can reinforce those points. But yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice. Right, so this is something that we want to introduce and see how enthusiastic everyone is and paying attention either right here in the class or in watching the video to give the next point. So don't start missing on Sundays. We have no phone numbers to figure out. Alright, so we all gonna stand up now. Thank you all for listening. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All the Vaishnavas ki jai. And also one more thing, we still have the picture of Gopal Krishna Maharaj here. I'm telling you, if you listen to the glories of Him, all that He is speaking, you will definitely get purified a lot. So it's a great opportunity to continue to listen to Him. So you all can